Hello everyone and welcome to Kingdom Come Deliverance, Methods of Exploiting Skalitz. If you're here, it most likely means that you have a penchant for abusing exploits and looking for shortcuts in games, but don't worry, I'm not here to judge you. On the contrary, I'm just going to try and help you out. Now, I made this video because I noticed a lot of people were disappointed in some of the methods explained 2 years ago, which don't really seem to work anymore, much to the dismay of all you folks. I would like to say that in and of itself, that's not such a bad thing. It does mean that the devs are looking out for issues with the game and that they're patching things up. Now, we're going to be covering a few things explained by previous YouTubers as well, but hopefully I will be able to provide you a more in-depth explanation of the methods in 1. Leveling your strength, 2. Leveling warfare, 3. Increasing herbalism and vitality, 4. Stacking equipment, and number 5, which is my absolute favorite, honestly, it's abusing that poor sod Kunish. As mentioned by other people as well, it is better to do all of these things I'm about to explain to you before you actually go turn in the quest from your father. If you progress too far in that quest, it will make it impossible for you to grow up your stats in Skalitz peacefully. Now, I chose this small garden to begin with because I feel it's the quickest way to level up your strength, in the sense that you have a couple of things you need to keep in mind. First of all, if you use a sword in order to farm animals such as cows or, for example, sheep in the game, you're going to have to use the stab as opposed to using the slash attack, so the right click attack as opposed to using the left click attack, because it will allow you to do less damage, more hits, and thus gather more EXP to level up 1. Warfare, 2. Strength, 3. Whatever weapon you're using, for example, if you're using a sword, is going to be leveling up your swordsmanship, obviously, your axe skills, and so on and so forth. So, that being said, once you're using a weapon to farm the animals in the village, it's going to help you level up a couple of things. However, this doesn't mean that it's the fastest way to level up your strength in general, since, as you're going to be able to see a bit later on, punching levels up your strength much faster. You receive 2 experience points per hit if you're using your fists, as opposed to using a melee weapon on which you'll be granted 1 experience point per hit. The target will not be knocked out or killed as easily, allowing you to get in more hits and therefore more experience points for leveling until it goes bye-bye. What you have noticed a bit earlier is the cow being knocked out due to me using it as a punching bag consistently before I filmed this. Be mindful that as you are increasing your strength level, you will obviously be doing more damage, meaning your targets will be going down much faster, making it more difficult for you to farm them for EXP. In the cow's case, you can either go farm the sheep or Kunish before it recovers more HP, or simply kill it with your sword once it gets back up and come back a few minutes later, and don't worry about it as they will respawn indefinitely. Farming cows is definitely the easiest way to go about it, as sheeps always panic when you come a bit closer and they are much more difficult to hit if you plan on using your fists. Going to number 5, farming Kunish is a fairly good method as well while you're waiting for the cows to respawn. Punching his lights out, the unlucky bastard, will grant you 10 experience points flat out. Now, the usual route I'm taking to farm equipment is the cow garden, as I like to call it, and then running towards the edge of the village, choking out a guard, knocking out Kunish, planting the equipment from the guard on Kunish, and every now and then moving it back to your chest in your mom's house. This is a rinse and repeat process which will probably drive you mad, and it's definitely not how the game is supposed to be played. In the beginning, I used both axe and sword to level up strength up until level 6. This is also because I want to increase swordsmanship and warfare a bit faster, have a combination of them, and not just have raw strength go up in level. Only later did I switch up to fists, as leveling up takes more EXP and gets harder, but this is all up to you and how crazy you want to be about it. Choking out guards might seem next to impossible at first, but don't worry, it gets progressively easier as you level up your strength. The more strength you have, the more chances of succeeding. If you really want to make the game a bit easier, you can use the unlimited save mod. I will be attaching the link in the description of the video below. If you're looking for a pacifist approach to leveling up your strength, there's always the option of picking up flowers from all over the village and its pastures until your herbalism is high enough to get the leg day perk, which does add 1 EXP to your strength level for every single flower pickup you make. Don't forget that if you do end up getting hurt, the cows can do damage if they run into you, for example. You can always go back to your beloved mommy and have her patch you up for free. As for what level you would like to reach, that's all up to you. If you want to fight all of the soldiers on the road to Skalitz once you have to run from the village, it's better to do so while mounted and using a halberd. To properly wield a halberd, it requires 14 strength.
God save you, Henry.
If you remember the god I was talking about always choking out and stealing his loot while on my equipment farming route, this guy will always respawn his full set of armor and weapons just a few minutes later after you burglarize him. The same goes for any type of god and any type of NPC while in the village except for Kunish. Everyone else, after you actually knock them out, steal their equipment and wait for a couple of minutes, they're basically going to respawn with the same amount of loot and the same type of loot. I'm by no means any kind of expert in the game. Actually, I haven't even gotten too far into it. This is one of the things that I've noticed in the beginning of the game. Feel free to ask me any kind of questions if you want to know more about why and how. I've done a couple of things that you've seen in the video so far. And of course, don't forget to always try to exploit less and have fun, guys.
Shit.